Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Sunday, and I want to invite you again or welcome you again to my YouTube channel. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining in, and I strongly believe your life will change. All right. We have a very important and controversial topic before us today, and which I want to talk about. And I know this is very quite controversial, especially to Christians. Though I believe we are quite recovering a bit by bit, but then it's quite controversial. But I believe this will really help you. And I will be talking about finance and way to a believer. Finance and wealth to a believer. I know the year of money is a lot of issues in church. Some don't believe in wealth, some believe in it, some are too extreme, some just eat anything that has to do with money. But then I want to bring a lot of balance to it today, and I strongly believe this teaching will change you and transform you. All right, let's go to scripture. I'll read just a few scriptures here so that I can emphasize my point. Psalms 35 verse 27. I found this scripture years ago and it's changed my life. Believe me, it changed my life. Psalms 35 verse 27. Psalms 35 verse 27. Let them shout for joy and be glad that favor my righteous cause. Yea, let them say continually, let the Lord be magnified, which hath pleasure in the prosperity of his servant. Part B there says, let the Lord be magnified, which hath pleasure in what? In the prosperity of his servant. And let me say this to you. I don't know if you don't believe it, but let me say to you, it is God's will for you to prosper. It is God's will for you to prosper. It is God's will for you to prosper. Listen, I was teaching one time, and I taught in John chapter 15, I believe. He said that herein your Father is glorified when you bear much fruit. Herein your Father in heaven is glorified when you bear much fruit. And God is glorified when you bear fruit. Now, fruit there means character. Fruit there means what men can see. Jesus caused the fig tree. Why? Because the tree refused to bear a fruit. And prosperity is also part of the fruit. I'm not saying fruit of the spirit, but I'm saying prosperity are also part of the things you have to bear. Wealth and abundance are part of the things you have to bear. And let me quickly explain some few things to you. I know there's a lot of controversies around this, that believers should we look for money, blah, blah, blah. Let me say this. I don't have time. I would have, take my time, and I don't want to bring it to session. I would have taken my time to explain to you bit by bit. Now listen, write this 3 point down. Number one, God is not glorified in your poverty. God is not glorified in your lack. God is not glorified when you are broke. What do I mean? I mean this, that imagine your wife. Maybe you are married. For many of you are married. Imagine your wife is about to, maybe something happen earthwise, and then we just demands for you to make a payment of about 3 million naira. Now, even as much as you can pray, now prayer is good, but then the doctor does not yield to prayer at it is right, but he only obeys to finance. There are things in your life that only obeys to money and finance. In fact, there's a lot of prayers we pray in church today, a lot of vigils we use, that money can answer them. Money can answer them. And I know a lot of, Apostle Simon said 17 years ago, and people fight him and all of that. He said that the gospel is free, but then it takes, I don't know how he put it now, but it takes finance to make it spread. And it's true. Believe me, it's true. Average programs, if you know how much resources that goes in for an average meeting, boy, you will know that ministry demands and needs money. All right, ministry demands and needs money. So God is not glorified when we are in lack. God is not glorified when we are poor. God is not glorified when you cannot afford to even pay your school fees to your children, or you cannot afford to pay some bills that are just basic. God is not glorified. Number two thing you have to note. Number two is that finance is needed for the expansion of God's kingdom. Finance is needed for the expansion of God's kingdom. See, many of you come from evangelical background. You have to understand is that everything does not respond to prayer. Yes, everything does not respond to prayer as it is. Okay, Everything does not respond to priorities. There are many things that only finance can just solve. It takes the burden away from your life. And believe me, if you are talking about kingdom advancement in a global scale, we need a lot of resources to make the kingdom advance. So we need money. There's a God needs your resources for kingdom advancement. Kingdom advancement cannot be done or cannot be done effectively without finance. I grew up when I grew up years ago to I grew up into Rhapsody. Many people know Rhapsody by Christ Embassy by Pastor Chris Oyakhilome. Those materials, they were free and they were printed all over the world, every places. In fact, they were giving it out for free every time. Let me ask you a question: was the printing done by free? If it was free, what of the material I did print? I did designs and I'm into printing. What of the materials that they buy to make the printing? But then these were given to us. Why? Because there were enough resources. So money is important for kingdom advancement. And the third one, last one, which I will talk about before I move on to my point, is that money, listen, money is important to meet your basic and personal need. Money is important to meet your basic and personal need. Oh God, how will I put it down? See, there's what we call basic need: shelter, food, and clothing. See, these things can't come by prayer. This thing can come by you will need resources to cater for those things. All right, resources to cater for those things. Resources to cater for those things. I know it may look funny, but then do you know what it means? You know what it means to even eat daily. Do you know the volumes of bills that goes out daily to people? Pay for transport, pay for house, pay for food, pay for shelter, school fees is there. All right. So all these things are very, very important. Believe me, and you need a lot of money resources to fund for many of these things. All right, many of these